Kyle, what's your favorite sci-fi thing? Like show or movie or book?
Oh, no. All right. I want a real answer for this. Now I got to think.
Wow, this was such a good question. Kyle abandoned giving a crappy joke answer, which is his standby.
Yeah, it's hard to do. Does WALL-E count?
Sure.
Is that sci-fi?
It is. It's just Disney sci-fi. It's sci-fi.
I love WALL-E, man.
Yeah.
Makes my heart flutter. There's a condition that it gives me, but also it makes me feel good inside.
All right.
But I'm trying to think of more regular
classic.
Yeah. You're a Trekkie, right, Em?
Yeah, I'm a big sci-fi fan, I think.
Yeah,
I've made you sit through many sci-fi movies at our movie nights.
Oh, I didn't even think of those. Absolutely.
We did Alien. We did
Alien was
Contact.
I feel like we did prefer that.
Yeah, Contact is good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, sci-fi, best genre to combine science and fiction out there.
There
no one else
we can say that definitively.
Definitively. And I've been reading a lot of medical fiction recently, so...
Welcome to Butter No Parsnips. Every week on Butter No Parsnips, your hosts Emily Moyers and Kyle Imperator take you on an adventure through the weird, wacky, wonderful, and sometimes even wicked world of one wayside word. Strange characters, delightful bits, and general joyousness abound. Join them as they test each other's etymological expertise.
Hey, welcome to Butter No Parsnips. I'm Kyle Imperator.
And I'm Emily Moyers, and we're both confident today.
We're confident, stars in the sky, beaming bright, north stars for our listeners out there. And Emily today is going to give us a word.
That's right.
That's going to be our guiding light for the next
shatter Kyle's confidence by giving him a word he's never heard before.
Let's hear it, Em.
All right, Kyle. Your word is Dunsel.
Oh, God.
Dunsel. Dunsel.
Dunsel?
Yeah.
Is Dunsel the sibling that actually got eaten by the witch? There's Hansel, Gretel, and then Dunsel. It's actually, Dunsel, why don't you stay here and we'll escape?
You go on ahead, Dun. You got this.
Yeah. I'm the one that left the breadcrumbs and then ate them. Yeah, you're the reason we got lost, Dunsel. Dunsel?
You got this, Kyle.
I mean, is it a noun?
It is a noun.
It is a noun. Does it have any relation to the word dunce?
No.
Whew. All right. Okay, good.
But you can hear more about dunce on our Patreon episode, Epicnyms.
Should I listen now?
You should listen as soon as this episode's done. It'll be, I believe, Epicnyms episode 3 or 4. We do a lot of them.
We do a lot of them because there's a lot of them.
There are. But we're not talking about that now. We're talking about Dunsel.
But now I'm lost. Absolutely. Okay, all right. So I want to guess the etymology, like the origin, before you tell me. Is it either Old Middle English or Germanic?
I mean, we're going to talk about it. We're not positive, but probably the best answer I can give you is Dutch.
Emily, I need a hint on Dunsel.
All right, Kyle. The hint I have for you is nautical.
Nautical?
Yeah.
This is a C word? Not the C word, I hope.
It's an SEA word.
Dunsel. All right. Can I 20 questions this? Can I ask questions to get closer?
You're not allowed to filibuster, Kyle.
I should have guessed before you gave me the hint. But
I'm going to take one big guess right now.
Perfect guess. And a Dunsel, ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
The listeners out there, they're going to be like, how did he get it on the first go? A Dunsel is, you know how on ships, the Titanic, I guess,
sure.
There's a big tube that comes out of the ship and then faces out. It looks like a periscope, but it's just for venting stuff. I'm saying that's a Dunsel.
All right. I mean, it could be, but it's not the definition.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. So I'm wrong, is what you're trying to tell me.
You're wrong. A Dunsel is something that is useless or superfluous or unnecessary, especially something on or part of a vessel.
Oh, okay.
So if that tube wasn't doing anything especially useful, then it would be a Dunsel.
I feel in my mind, it's a Dunsel. In my mind, those things don't have a purpose. They're just because
they're just there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of malevolence. I'm thinking of...
That is another word of nautical origin.
Tell me about Dunsels, Emily.
Yeah. So, Kyle, the etymology of this word is tricky. I found 3 different origins for this word. None of them are like...
I want to hear the second one first, and then the first one, and then the third.
No, you'll get them in the order that I say, Kyle. None of them are like definitive, like this is the one place that this word came from. I think probably in reality all 3 of them were contributing factors. Okay. So we're going to go through all of them.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I'll start with the least interesting one, and that way we can go up from there.
Okay.
Wiktionary speculates that it might have formed out of a similar nautical term, dunnage. Dunnage, which is essentially like the large-scale shipping equivalent of packing peanuts.
Oh, okay. Wait, and now I'm picturing giant packing peanuts. All right.
It's sort of what it is. So going back to the 15th century at least, dunnage referred to like bundles of sticks or blocks of scrap wood, which you would put... first of all, under your cargo to get it up off the ground so it stays dry, but also around your cargo to fill up the space to keep things from shifting around and maybe provide a little cushioning if they do jostle.
And it was called dunnage.
Yeah, that would be called dunnage.
That's fun. That's good.
Yeah, and both the word and the concept of dunnage is still very much in use in modern shipping. Nowadays, it refers to not only wood materials, but also rubber. There are like dunnage mats and dunnage wood and dunnage whatever. That's all just meant to keep things from shifting around during shipping.
Sorry, I was about to make a really foot-in-mouth joke, and I decided against it, so you're welcome.
You know what that is, Kyle? That's growth. I'm proud of you.
We could end the episode here.
Dunnage also has a more informal definition, which I think started as Navy slang, referring to your personal belongings or your baggage.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess it's similar to when we say things like, yeah, I got all my crap in the car.
Yeah.
Like, let me just grab my dunnage.
It's just stuff to fill up stuff,
Yeah, just like all my garbage that I need to bring with me places.
That's fun. I like
my
that.
dunnage. Like, honestly, on a pure instinct level, I feel like dunnage is the word I'm going to end up using more.
Than Dunsel?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to use Dunsel, but just because I'm still thinking of that third sibling.
Do you feel like there are like qualities that make some of these weird words like stick with you better, like make you more likely to remember them and use them?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like a sort of like synesthete thing where like it gives you a certain feeling, a certain cozy feeling that makes you want to use them more.
Sure. I feel like the AGE ending on dunnage makes it feel very like colloquial and fun to use.
Like garbage or cribbage. I see, but that's why I like Dunsel. Soul.
You like the soul?
Yeah. I mean, like, what other things end in soul?
We're going to talk about it in a second.
So
nice. Hold that thought. In the meantime, the OED says this word dunnage probably has its etymology in Middle Dutch. They compare dunnage to an early modern Dutch word, dennen, which is another nautical word, a verb meaning to stow below deck. And that connects to similar Latin words meaning to stow or to load or to pack. So it sort of does link up in terms of meaning, that dunnage is not your actual cargo. It's just bric-a-brac filling up your hull, similar to Dunsel, like a useless thing, kind of near at hand. But it doesn't explain that soul ending.
It does not.
It's very possible that Dunsel is an abbreviation. This is etymology number 2 now that we're on. That Dunsel is an abbreviation of studding sail.
I'm sorry. If by abbreviation you mean a complete, mauling of the word, then yes, it's an abbreviation. Studding sail?
Studding sail, 2 words.
What is the function of a studding sail?
We'll talk about it.
Just to let the lady sailors on other ships know that you got some beefcakes on your Navy vessel? studding sail?
We'll talk about what a studding sail is, but I want to respond to the first thing you said, which is that it's a mall of an abbreviation. It is just a destruction of this term.
Who was the one who's like, oh yeah, I could fit these two together.
Well,
I can see it.
Here's the thing. These kinds of abbreviations, these like slurred, sort of like telephone game gone awry pronunciations are not unheard of among nautical terms.
Yeah, forecastle.
Forecastle. I was going to ask, are you familiar with that? Do you know what forecastle is an abbreviation of?
Forecastle. But that's
forecastle.
But that's clearly like just with a million apostrophes, you know?
Yes, and that forecastle, short for forecastle, which is the area of the ship below deck and forward, it's often spelled FOC apostrophe S apostrophe LE.
Yeah. I know another one too.
Yeah.
Bosun.
Bosun, which is short for?
Boatswain.
Boatswain. Do you know what the boatswain is? Like what his role on the ship is?
I don't know. When the lady sailors notice the ship, he's the one who's like, yeah, come on over. I'll throw out a ladder.
I don't know when these became like Friday Night Lights to you. The boatswain is like the person on the ship who supervises the crew, but over time that word became bosun, often spelled B-O-S-U-N. There's a million others like in the sailing world. Mm-hmm. You've got your mainsail and your topsail, more commonly pronounced mainsail and topsail.
I've never heard of those.
They're usually, I think, spelled the same, sometimes with like an apostrophe S-L-E. But yeah, you usually hear mainsail instead of mainsail. And the best one is, so above the mainsail, above the topsail, you have your top gallant sail, typically pronounced to'garnsel. To'garnsel! To'garnsel!
It adds an R?
Because apparently it could also be top garrant sail.
Top garrant sail sounds like someone's really trying to like get people to come out to their used VHS store. Come on out at Bob's Discount Videotapes. You've got the top garrant sail and tea that we've got the best of movies from Flubber to Mrs. Doubtfire's just Robin Williams films.
Yeah.
Top garrant sail.
To'garnsel.
So,
studding sail went through a few different forms. The most common, I think, is stunsail, spelled like, S-T-U-N-S-A-I-L, stunsail, but pronounced stunsail, which is especially interesting because one of the dictionaries I looked at spelled Dunsel like Dunsale with an S-A-I-L.
Oh, is that like, was Dunsel D-U-N-S-E-L also in there?
Yeah, so it's like it could be that these were like all terms for the same thing, like studding sail or stun sail or stunsail or dunsail or dunsel, just all variations on that original term.
I see it. I'm convinced.
And to answer your other question, Kyle, studding sails were a thing mostly on 18th and 19th century ships, on square-rigged vessels, which are like what you imagine like an old ship looking like, where like the masts have those horizontal beams crossing them, which are called yards, and then sails hanging down from the yards.
Which are the studding sails?
So, have you ever seen paintings of old ships where they have just like a comical number of sails?
Yes.
Just like so many that you're like, there's no way. There's no way that this is real. There's no way they put up that many.
Most of these sails must be Dunsels.
So there'll be like sails going down each mast, but then there'll be like extra sails sticking out the sides. Those are studding sails.
It's like, you remember that episode of SpongeBob where his spatula gets 2 extra spatulas and starts propelling? That's what I'm picturing. Yeah.
So the idea, like when the wind was really low, the studding sails were attached to the ends of the yard arms to add a little bit of extra canvas to hopefully catch a little more wind and propel the ship more. They were generally disliked by ships' crews, firstly because they were difficult to put up on the end of the yard arm, and secondly, because once the wind did pick up, they were even more difficult and dangerous to take down, because you'd have to climb all the way to the edge of the yardarm when it's now windy. But thirdly, they had a very narrow range of effectiveness, because like when the wind was really dead, the stun sails just hung there with the rest of the sails doing nothing.
Making the ship heavier.
Yes. And then when you caught a good wind, you had to take the stun sails down quickly because they would put stress on the rigging.
Oh my God. So they were useless.
Exactly. The crews tended to feel that stun sails were useless and unnecessary, like Dunsels.
Like Dunsels. Oh.
So it's possible that the word came from that.
I like that one. I like that one a lot.
That one feels very good.
Yeah.
And it could have been like they were conforming the word to dunnage to be similar to dunnage. So those two might have like come together. So Kyle, we're 2 etymologies down.
Yeah, but I'm stoked to hear what the third one is.
If
it's not about Hansel and Gretel, I'm going to eat my hand.
Well, it's not, but I've saved the best for last because it seems that what really gave this word legs and what a lot of people attribute the word Dunsel to is Star Trek.
I forgot that we
remember when I
this
started the
space
episode?
Questions. Yep. Is like a Dunsel agreeable type thing?
It's not. Kyle, you did establish correctly that I am a pretty big Star Trek fan. Did you ever watch any of the Star Trek shows?
You know, when I was a kid, I feel like my mom liked Star Trek. So I do remember watching episodes when I was a kid just because my mom was like, oh, Star Trek's on. I got to watch this.
Do you know which show?
No, I know that there's the one with Jonathan Frakes where he asks a lot of questions. I know there's the one with Patrick Stewart where he can read people's minds.
Both of those people were on the same show, which is my favorite, which is Next Gen.
So then that's the one I watched.
Okay. There were a lot like in the 90s. They were like kind of all like overlapping and in the same timeline. Those are the good ones. Do you feel like you're more of a Star Wars guy or a neither guy?
I mean, no, I love Star Wars, but I got into Star Wars like pretty recently. So, you know, I haven't watched Star Trek to be able to pick a side. But if I were to watch Star Trek, I would watch like one of the 90s episodes, like
there are some
Star
really
Trek What's Happening. Star Trek. Imagine
a world. Is that how that Jonathan Frakes started out? You're like, what if?
Any question. Have you ever sat on a pincushion and thought, wow, I wonder if this'll hatch? What? Where is this episode going, Jonathan?
What was that show?
How much are you getting paid? It was Fact or Fiction, I think. And it was just like, we're going to tell you a story. Is it real? I don't know. I'll tell you afterwards. And it always started with some beyond belief. Fact or Fiction. God, what a crazy show. So yeah, Star Trek Fact or Fiction. That was my favorite. God.
Well, this came from a different one. Dunsel is first mentioned in the original series, Season 2, Episode 24, The Ultimate Computer is the name of the episode.
Oh.
And just to give you a little exposition on that episode, the Enterprise is contacted by a Commodore Wesley from Starfleet, who tells them that their ship will be the guinea pig for a new AI computer system. It's very prescient now. They install the system in the Enterprise and run some tests, and the AI, of course, performs perfectly and does better than a human ever could. And the Commodore, sort of as a friendly jab, jokingly refers to Captain Kirk as Captain Dunsel.
What?
Are you seeing the link?
Wait, you're telling me that a writer for Star Trek thought, yeah, the audience is going to know what a Dunsel is when I make this sick burn.
No, they didn't. So the Commodore says Captain Dunsel, and everybody on the bridge gets really quiet, and it's clear from Kirk's reaction that this has stung him, and he walks out in a huff. And Dr. McCoy, sort of voicing the audience's thoughts, here doesn't understand what has just happened. And he's like, what does it mean, Jim? What does it mean, Spock? So Spock explains, and now I'm going to do a Leonard Nimoy impression that I've never practiced,
perfect.
and we're just going to see how well it goes. Spock responds, Dunsel, Doctor. This is bad.
You can't stop now. You can't stop now. This is permanent, baby.
Sorry, I gotta reset myself.
Would it help if I did a bad impersonation of Patrick Stewart?
Patrick Stewart?
Get the coordinates. There you go. And now, Data.
What?
Spock.
What show do you think I'm doing?
And now, C-3PO.
Okay. Spock responds, Dunsel, Doctor, is a term used by midshipmen at Starfleet Academy. It refers to a part which serves no useful purpose. And then they go to commercial, because that was a dramatic line.
I mean...
BC is like an insult. It was like, Captain, we don't need you anymore.
It's good, and I'm mad that it's good.
It is very good, and I'm not going to spoil the rest of the episode because it's apparently like a really good episode.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like on lists of the original series' best episodes. And it was based on a story submitted by a fan named Lawrence Wolfe. And they were like, oh my gosh, we got to make this. So they did.
I like to think the story was biographical. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I wrote a story. It was like, this happened to me the other day.
I was captain of a ship, and I got outmoded.
It would be good for you. They called me Captain Dunsel, and it hurt. Wait, they were just taking... they were like, I don't know what to write anymore. Maybe some fans could submit some episodes for us, because we are done.
So I don't think they were taking suggestions all the time, but this writer, Lawrence Wolfe, I think just happened to meet Ray Bradbury, who did a lot of TV sci-fi writing and knew Gene Roddenberry, who made Star Trek. And Lawrence Wolfe gave the draft of his story to Ray Bradbury to give to Gene Roddenberry. And that's how that episode happened.
Ray Bradbury, the famous author.
Yes, because he not only wrote novels, he did TV and movie writing as well as prose.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it got to Gene Roddenberry
Emily.
Through Ray Bradbury.
Wild.
And even more wild, it seems to be that Dunsel, in the exact spelling and definition that it has today, was first used in that episode of Star Trek.
What?
There are scattered forms of it, but Dunsel with that spelling and that meaning, as far as anybody can tell, came from that episode.
Wait, how was it spelled before?
Well, I just don't know if it was formally written down, because it had just come down from Dunsel.
Oh, so the earliest known...
Just with that exact definition that Spock gave it. A lot of people pull their understanding of Dunsel from the definition that Spock gave in that episode.
Gotcha. We gotta do better as a society and not rely on fictional television shows to define words for us. I mean, in this case, it worked out for humanity, but might not always be the case.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it probably came down from those other definitions as well. But when a lot of people point to where this word came from, they point to that Star Trek episode. And there are a few other scattered uses of the word Dunsel in the Star Trek universe, both in the canon shows and in outside fan works. But Dunsel is also found on lists of sailing jargon with the definition a part on a ship that has no use. It is a recognized used nautical term.
This is great. This is a great... Yeah, I love this so much.
Yeah, and because in that original episode, Kirk is dubbed Dunsel, Wiktionary also lists an extended definition, which is a captain of a vessel who has little or no authority.
Is Dunsel. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I imagine some Navy ship captains have used that, have been called that term,
Yes. I imagine they have. Just quickly, Kyle, before we round out here, there are a couple other Dunsel terms I ran across. At the top, you asked if this word was related to dunce. It's not, but there is something called a Dunsel cap.
Is that different than the regular dunce cap?
It's not related to dunce cap, and honestly, it's barely related to Dunsel, other than that it's nautical related. It just refers to those knitted caps that sailors wear. You know, the like knit beanies that you see dock workers wearing? That's also called a Dunsel cap.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I've always wanted a word for that.
There you go. Now you've got one.
It's so iconic of a wharf hat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, nice.
And another one, this one is very niche, but in his 2007 book Endpoint Security, which is all about cybersecurity, Mark Kadrich coins the term Dunselware, which refers to software or apps or files that don't need to be on your computer and could be a security risk.
That's good. That's great.
Because it's just extra junk that's on your computer. It's Dunselware.
That's really good. That's really, really useful.
That's a good use of that word.
That is a great use of that word. Dunselware.
And that's what I've got on Dunsel, Kyle. A Dutch word, a nautical word, a Star Trek word.
Emily, I am floored. I'm stunned. This is such an incredibly interesting word. The etymology, I mean, just the fact that it's got like this mysterious etymology and can point in so many directions is wonderful. But just what it represents is everything that I want my life to be, you know?
Superfluous and unnecessary.
just there.
Useless.
You know?
Yeah. But I think it's good because like it's primarily used in a nautical sense, but you could easily use it in any context.
Yeah, it seems very easy to use by extension or figuratively.
And I bet you can, Kyle, when you use Dunsel in a sentence right now.
I'm going to use Dunsel in a sentence right now. And I'm going to say, got a real good joke about the Titanic brewing. Let's see if I can get this to work.
Okay, I'm excited.
Nope. Nope.
Well, you gotta do one, Kyle.
Can't figure out the punchline here. You guys ever see
this is a good sentence.
Lifesavers that are like on the sides of ships where no one can reach them? Those are Dunsels.
This is a sentence that's delivered by someone standing on a dock as like a ferry pulls out.
Those are Dunsels.
But it is a correct use of the word, Kyle. Very good.
Thank you. I worked very hard on it.
Nice. Would you like to reward all your hard work with a mini game?
Please.
Kyle, the game I have for you today is called True Colors.
True Colors. Yeah.
Kyle, we not only get a lot of words from the sailing world, but phrases as well. And they are hiding in plain sight. Show your true colors is one. Comes from pirate ships flying false flags or false colors to avoid suspicion. And then showing their true colors when they went on the attack.
Fun!
Yeah. But I've got more fun ones, Kyle. And we are going to reveal them. We are going to show their true colors as nautical phrases right now. So I'm going to describe a thing in sailing, and you are going to tell me the everyday phrase that emerged out of it.
Okay. All right.
Ready?
I think I can do this. Yeah.
All right. First one. Historically, a ship's crew was given commands via the bosun's whistle or the bosun's call. One such command signaled that it was time to go below decks for the evening or to wind down so that people can sleep. The bosun is giving the command to do what?
Oof.
I have a hint if you need it.
Conk out.
No.
What's the hint?
The bosun's whistle, also sometimes called the bosun's pipe.
Pipe down?
Pipe down!
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep. That signal is the pipe down, and it's to settle down for the evening and go to sleep.
That's crazy. And we use it now, pipe down, like settle. Like, settle yourself.
Yeah.
Pipe down. Oh, that's so fun.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
And you got it. All right, next one. When the wind was totally dead, sailors would depend on the natural movement of the sea to keep them moving in the right direction until the wind picked up. In the way that we use this phrase today, we might say the sailors were hoping that the waves would what?
Would work for them.
Yeah. It would help them in the short term to get to a better solution.
Yeah. Yep, that's the answer. That's my answer. It would help them in the short term.
What's another way to say that? If something just helps you for now until you get to what you're looking for.
Eek spy.
I think the context that we use this a lot is if you're just going to have a little snack before you get to the big meal later.
I'll just have a wee bit.
This little protein bar is gonna blank me until
bide?
No, but it rhymes with bide.
Hold me over? Oh, tide.
Tide you over.
I got there.
Yeah.
With no hints.
With no hints. He got it perfectly, all on his own. Yeah, so I think the original way this phrase was used is you would say like the ship is tiding over.
Sure.
They're just riding the tide until the wind picks up.
Oh, to tide me over. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
Because it's the tide that they're riding.
The tide.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
So I'll call that one a miss, but you're 1 for 2. Last one. Some of the lines or ropes on a ship were secured to what's called a bitt, B-I-T-T, which is basically 2 low posts fixed to the deck. And you'd wrap the rope like figure 8 around the bitt and uncoil it as you needed more. So the part of the rope that you were working with was unsurprisingly called the working end. But as you uncoiled more and more, you'd eventually get to what?
Oh, God. The end of one's rope?
That's a good guess, but no.
Oh, man.
You have the working end and the end that is attached to the bit.
The bit end.
Kyle.
Huh?
Kyle, say what you just said again and think about what might be really close.
The butt end?
Nope. The way that we use this phrase today might emerge from the fact that if you've reached this end, you might be...
wit's end?
No.
Oh, God. I'm further
I'll give you a hint. It's got bit in it. B-I-T-T.
Bitter end.
Bitter end. You got it.
It's bitter end?
It's bitter end.
Oh, it has nothing to do with bitter?
That's tied to the bit.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Wow, it has nothing to do with the flavor.
No, but I think the way that we've used it today kind of connects with, like, if you've reached the bitter end. Because, like, as if you've run out of rope that you're trying to use on the ship, then it would be a little bit unfortunate. So
yeah, it would be a bitter taste in one's mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy, Emily.
Isn't that crazy? Those are all nautical phrases.
I guess it makes sense how much nautical phrases have kind of seeped into our vocabulary because we've been sailing for a long time.
We've been sailing, you know? That's how we got everywhere.
It's how we got everywhere. It's how we got to the moon.
It's true. Well, spaceships do use nautical terms, both in reality and in science fiction. So.
Yeah, and in science fiction. I think that's the moral of today's episode.
Yeah.
So for all you astronauts out there, or nascent astronauts, or cosmonauts, I don't, you know,
everybody's a nascent cosmonaut in the end.
In the bitter end, I think.
In the bitter end, very good. For all of them.
Yeah, keep tabs on this episode because you're going to use it someday. And also, remember that you can find Butter No Parsnips on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Butter No Parsnips Podcast, and on TikTok at Butter No Parsnips. And if you liked today's episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating or review wherever you heard us.
And if you really liked today's episode, consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/butternoparsnips. Donating $5 or more earns you a shout out either on social media or here on the podcast.
Thanks so much to all of you. You help us make what we make.
And with that, I've been Emily Moyers.
And I've been Kyle Imperator, and this has been Bitter No Parsnips.
Butter No Parsnips is produced by Seth Glicksman, Kyle Imperator, and myself, Emily Moyers. The main and accompanying themes were composed by Kyle Imperator.